welcome to another trip report. This time from Bergen to Stavanger. And as maybe some of you already noticed, there are no trains on this route. Of course I can take a train to Oslo and from Oslo to Stavanger. That will take me a long time. There are also ferries that go from here via Stavanger to Kystbussen in Denmark. One per day only, and at this moment that ferry is not being in service because of maintenance. So I will take the bus, and I've heard that this bus ride is stunning. It will go on 2 ferries as well, but we will find out in this video. But what I will do in this video, I show you the railway station of Bergen, also the bus station, and of course the bus, and some views from the bus. But for now, I'll talk way too much. If you like this video or this is a helpful video to you, please give me a thumbs up. And if you'd like to see more trip reports about more sustainable ways of transportation, I'm mainly focusing on international and long distance traveling, then hit the subscribe button. But for now, let's roll the intro. I arrived in Bergen with a local train that started in Myrdal. I do have a trip report on that as well, and apart from that trip report, I do have another trip report on the train from Oslo to Bergen. I took that train to Voss 2 days earlier. Information about departing trains has been mentioned very clear throughout the railway station, both at general departure screens but also at special screens at the platform. At the side of the railway station there's a parking spot for bikes, and I think there's also a walkway to the bus station, but I will go there in a bit. This is a terminal railway station and therefore the layout is pretty simple. Bergen is the second city of Norway, and therefore I actually expected this railway station to be slightly bigger at first. But if you look at the railway map of Norway, it's no surprise that it's not that big. Where Oslo is an important junction, Bergen is just the end of the line. There are no trains going in any other direction than towards Oslo from here. However, for passengers going north or south, the bus plays a really important role, and the bus station is rather big. It's really good integrated with the railway station, although you wouldn't say this at first. When I went here, I dropped my luggage in the luggage lockers. There are quite a lot of them, and what I really like is that you can test first to see what size you need, so you won't spend too much on a big luggage box while you don't need it. I really like to see this more in other places. Toilets are located right next to the lockers. Around the main hall of the railway station there are quite some shops, and I think you have an idea about this railway station. If you move towards the front, there are some more shops, and this is also a place where you can wait a bit more inside. I guess it can be cold here in the real winter time. When I was here, it was the beginning of April. It's not a long walk to the city center, but you can also take the tram. At the front there's a pick-up and drop-off zone for railway passengers by car, and I also noticed this bike sharing program. A little bit more at the sides you will find the tram stop. This tram is mainly serving the outskirts of Bergen, but also the airport. And towards the city center it's only one stop. Once again, it doesn't make a whole lot of sense to take the tram to the city center, but it might be handy if you really have a lot of luggage, for example. It's not cheap though to take the tram to the city center. It's only one stop. I mean, of course we're in Norway, what has a higher price level than many other countries anyway, but for such a small ride, I just would go for a walk. And it's also healthier to walk. Even though the railway station and the bus station are quite good integrated into each other, for the bus station, taking the tram makes a bit more sense, if you want to go to the city center at least. The town center of Bergen is really nice and cute. Actually, this place is being well known for having a lot of rain, but when I was here, it was really sunny and I really enjoyed my short stay in this city. It's really alive over here. You really notice this, and it's a big student city as well. Well, I didn't have a whole lot of time to spend in the city, so I went back to the railway station and picked up the luggage I put in the luggage lockers. And I bought some food at a convenience store in the railway station. Before I move to the bus stop, let me tell you something about this trip in general. This trip is a part of a greater journey, where I travel by train from the Netherlands to Kiel in northern Germany, from where on I took an overnight ferry to Gothenburg in Sweden and continued my way by train to Oslo. I took Norway's fastest train, but also the train that goes on the highest altitude in all of Northern Europe. I traveled by bus and boat towards Vlam, from where on I took the famous Vlamsbane. This is the steepest railway in the world that is not using a cogwheel. And of course I also travel with more local trains. This all to show you what it's like to travel on a more sustainable way of transportation and to lower your carbon footprint while traveling. I even took a bus that went on some ferries. And for the last train ride, I took a train that called at Norway's most southern railway station. From the town of Kristiansand in the south of Norway, I took a ferry back homebound towards the Netherlands. And of course, I made trip reports on all of this. Let's go back to Bergen, where I'm walking from the railway station to the bus station. I am walking here on street level, but there's also a bridge connecting the bus station and the railway station with each other, ideal for if it's cold in the winter time. Between the bus station and the railway station there's a shopping mall, and this here is the bus station. It's not really a wow place, and that's the least I could say, but it's quite functional, and that's most important. The bus station has been split up basically in two sections. This here is the biggest part, and there's also quite a big waiting room over here. There are quite a lot of screens that will host information about both departing buses, but also what platforms can be found where. Within this waiting room there's even a small convenience store. I was here quite early because, well, first of all I want to film a bit, and I try to be the first one on the bus so I can film without bothering other passengers too much, but that was quite challenging. Anyway, my bus is already listed on the departure screen, so I just slowly move towards the part where my bus departs from. Of course, in these waiting rooms there are also public toilets. The bus station is being more or less separated with this tram line. I think this is also quite functional, and for the bus station to the city center, the tram makes a bit more sense. There is another tram stop really close to the bus station, and that's a little bit more at the other side. If you have an electric vehicle, you can also charge it over here. There's a small parking spot, and this here is a smaller waiting room in the area where my bus will depart from. There are even some power plugs in this waiting room, and of course also a big screen with information about departing buses. And before I actually realized, I noticed my bus coming in. It was coming from, I guess, Stavanger, and dropped off passengers here first. It seems like the bus was pretty full. The bus stood here for a while it was cleaning rapidly for the next bus ride back to Stavanger. Today's bus ride will take 4 hours and 20 minutes for a distance of about 210 kilometers. What's not fast, but if you know the roads in Norway and if you realize that these buses will go on 2 ferries, yeah, it can't be faster than this. Luggage needs to be placed in the special luggage compartment at the lower deck, and within the compartments at the lower deck there's even some more space for luggage. Of course, you can also use the overhead luggage racks for hand luggage, but this is very tiny in buses. This bus doesn't come in a classical 2x2 configuration, but the upper deck is mainly in a 2x1 configuration, what's really nice in terms of space. However, for this ride I reserved a front seat. Actually, I paid extra for this, and this comes in a classical 2x2 configuration. There's a USB socket right in front of my seat, and there's also a power plug right below that. The bigger seats that do come in a 1x2 configuration, these seats do look really nice. I haven't fully tested them out, but I think it's really comfortable. The leg room is not super generous, but it's a bit more generous than in the regular seats that do come in a 2x2 configuration. I do test these seats out really quick though. There's even a power plug for the seats that do come in a 2x2 configuration at the side. And USB sockets are located between the seats. There's a small table in the seat in front of you, a magazine rack and a footrest. What you may expect of a regular touring car. And the bigger solo seats, well, actually they're really nice. But there's something really cool on these buses, but I'll show you in a bit. The lower deck, here you find some extra space for luggage, the toilet, and mainly seats that do come in a classical touring car composition. But there are also some seats that face each other. There's a kind of a desk cam, and the screens within the bus will play from the desk cam during the ride. At the upper level, the windows at the ceiling are huge, so you have a way more spacious experience than it actually really is. What makes this the coolest bus experience for me so far are these seats here. There are two spots where you can rent a working desk. You get some free water that's in the fridge here on the left, and you can drink unlimited coffee if you book these places. You don't have the best views though. However, if you want to work and travel at the same time, and if you're a coffee addict, then this is more than perfect. The first section from Bergen to the first ferry that departs at Halheim is not that long, and this section of the route is not that interesting either. Actually, this is the most boring part of the route. Before you know it, you're already at the ferry. And one of the biggest advantages of traveling on a bus, if you go on these ferries, is that the bus always has priority. During these crossings, you're not allowed to stay on the bus, so you must leave the bus and go to the decks. But that's no problem at all, so you can enjoy the views much better. These ferries are actually a part of the highway system. Therefore, this toilet also looked more like a toilet, like you can expect on the highway, than a normal toilet on a ferry. A lot of gravity, not really nice. But these ferries though, they are really nice. There are lots of places where you can have a sit, and these seats are quite comfortable. There is a play area for kids, as you can see over here, and there's also a cafeteria on board of this vessel. The bus might have no dining car, but this way I at least have some kind of a dining car experience. Well, I guess nothing beats real trains though. When you have good weather, there's also a nice outside deck. And over here you can also have a nice view on the car deck. There are quite some vessels that do run on this route, so you don't have to wait long in general if you travel on this route by car or bus for another vessel. For now, I'll just show you some views I had from the route. From the ferry, but also from the bus, and also from the bus on another ferry. The ferry crossing near Bergen takes about 45 minutes, and the ferry crossing near Stavanger takes about 25 minutes. Welcome to Stavanger. From here on, I'll take tomorrow morning a train to Kristiansand. That train continues to Oslo. I already made a video on this route, but then from Kristiansand to Oslo. But you find different kinds of trains on this route. And as far as I know, I do have another kind of train than what I featured before. Anyway, that's it for now. I hope you liked it. If you did so, give me a thumbs up. And if you'd like to see more, just hit the subscribe button. See you on my next video. Thank you for watching. Did you know that you can find a map in the description of this video, and on this map you can find all trip reports. Of course, you can also find them on this channel, and if you don't want to miss anything, then hit the subscribe button and the bell icon. See you on the next video.